So yes, social media, I am joined today by the wonderful, the one and only, the powerhouse, Vicky Johnson. Vicky, great to see you.
Thank you.
How are you today? You all right?
Yeah, I'm good. After getting lost, I'm fine.
Note to Vicky. Vicky cannot follow sat-navs.
No.
We established that. 2-minute journey. It took 7 minutes, but here we are anyway.
We're here.
Vicky, look, I want to start with you. Do you just want to introduce yourself, who you are, what you do, and we'll get into the topics today.
Yeah. So my name's Vicky Johnson. I am a property investor. I have a portfolio of service accommodation. I work with investors to build generational wealth, and I have a portfolio that is solely buy-to-lets, mixed use, that kind of stuff, looking into commercial conversion, and now dabbling into kind of speaking to the wider audience.
So the speaker journey, we'll talk about that soon. But let's rewind. Who was the old Vicky? Because I'm sure you weren't born and you were this successful property investor. Talk to us through the journey from where you were to what got you to where you are today.
Okay. So I was in the NHS from the age of, I just turned 18, just before I turned 18. I was actually on a college course. Big shout out to Janice Pegham, who was a wonderful lecturer when I was doing health and social cares, and she actually got me a part-time job in the NHS working with disabled people, physical and mentally kind of disabled. So I started doing that part-time, which then led on. I was never going to go down the conventional route of going to university. I had dyslexia and lots of barriers that were preventing me to get to that. But I knew I wanted to get into the NHS and do something more. From that, I then went and worked in the NHS, worked my way up, then managed to get into university doing it as an in-service to become a physiotherapist. And I served 22 years in total. And I think I qualified in 2010 and I left in October 21. So I'd done kind of about 11 years as a physiotherapist, ending that as a neuro specialist, stroke specialist physio.
Yeah.
And that's where I then started on my property journey.
And let's talk about today now. So what did your portfolio consist of? What are you doing? Tell us the success that you built. And don't be humble about it, because I know you've achieved amazing things.
So at the minute I have 21 service accommodation that I kind of self-run manage. That is a mix of rent to SA, which is what I started with, because I had nothing in the beginning to start with. So rent to SA, which has then allowed me to generate income. It's allowed me to reach out and work with investors to then be able to buy. So
now you own physical property as well?
So now I physically own them and do a bit of a double bubble. So I rent to rent back to myself. So I have a company which is a structure of holding company. So I have that said property, which then rents it over to this property. So I get full. Oh, you're thinking, this is interesting, aren't you?
This is a nice structure.
This is interesting. So this company gets full market rent. So I still make rent on this one.
Yep.
And this one over here is the rent to SA.
Yeah.
So then I still make money on this one using it as a holiday let.
So what was the thinking behind that? Because I've never heard anyone in SA that does that structure. What was the thinking behind that, and what's the benefit?
Well, I'll give that one probably to the accountant.
Yeah, I assume I can think of the benefit.
Yeah. So,
okay, nice.
Actually, it's quite simple because SA is a trading business. Your normal property portfolio tends to be an investment. You can't trade through it.
Yeah,
So if you want to use a holiday let, you kind of have to really use that structure.
Yeah.
You've got to rent it across to another company.
Yeah,
to be able to do it.
And what made you choose SA? Like, obviously, there's all these different property strategies. You've probably been on property education, which we'll talk about. But what specifically drew you towards service accommodation, and what areas do you operate in?
So I'm based on the northeast coast in a gorgeous little Victorian seaside town called Saltburn, and we have beautiful coastlines all the way up and down the northeast, and we've also got a great kind of Freeport, which brings in loads and loads of contractors. So we've got, again, I like the double bubble, we've got two sides to it. So I knew that it was going to work no matter where. I mean, you could do it in one of the worst of areas as well as in the high end of areas. It works. It fits. And that's why I thought that I knew that strategy would work in that area. I coupled it obviously with the no money down stuff, which is the rent to rent stuff, through training.
Which we'll talk about.
Yeah, which we'll talk about.
And Okay, so you've done the property education. So let's talk about property education. We see there's a lot of gurus out there. Some of them get stick. There's good and bad. I know we spoke off camera about this, but tell me in 30 seconds, is property education worth it? Have you invested in education? And if so, how much?
Okay, so I would say absolutely it is worth it. I wouldn't be here today if I had not invested any of my money in it. I've probably spent about 60 to 70k in...
That's 60 to 70,000.
Yeah, but I've made that back.
Of course. That's the key thing, though.
That's the key thing. And that is the key thing about, yes, it's worth it if you're prepared to do the graft, put the work in and get the outcome. It's not worth it if you don't. So you can then slam these companies by going, they told me this promise that I would have all these. Well,
but I didn't put in the work.
But you didn't put in the work. Exactly. Yeah. So yes, it's worth it. That's how much I've spent. And would I do it again? Absolutely.
And why do you think, answer me this, a lot of people don't make it in the property game? What do you think are the key things that stop someone from, they go to these courses, they're all pumped, they're all ready to go. 2 months later, they disappear. We never hear from them again. Why do you think that is? Because you've got it to the other side.
Life gets in the way. They don't prioritise it. They do not see that as their way out of whatever their pain is.
And do you think it's because they don't truly believe that they can? Or do you think where do you think that stems from?
It probably. I think there is a belief of that. But then I think it's a bit of that they're just not prepared to take that extra risk. Because I had to take that risk to see if it was going to work. I was always sat on the fence, and I sat on the fence for ages before I got that first one, which, as I said off camera, it was only 425 quid. It was a one bed, it was a rent. But to me, that was on top of a mortgage I already had. And if it didn't work, then, oh my God, I've signed up on a 3-year contract. And you're literally on the edge of the cliff, and you either... I love all my analogies. You either jump and grow wings on the way down, or you just stay stuck.
Yeah. And you never... And the thing is, you don't take the risk, but there's no reward.
That's it.
And I bet when you were starting back in the other days, again, when we spoke off camera, where you were putting all this groundwork, you were probably getting rejected. You had nothing to show for this 60, 70k that you'd done.
Rejection after rejection, yeah.
But what one piece of advice would you give someone who's watching this, who's maybe in a position where they've invested in the education, they're a little bit lost, they know they want to get that financial freedom. What one most important piece of advice would you give to them?
Get back on that horse. Because I think even if you give yourself an hour a day, just to start listening to some podcasts or free training even, listen to some free training, get some nuggets. One thing that I would say is get out there, meet people, network. Network is your biggest key. If you can get out there and network with other people, you might meet someone that's just like you and you have the same interests. You might meet someone that's an investor that likes you and thinks, do you know what, I'll help you. Or you might just meet somebody else that's going down the same path, or they might tell you a different route to do it, or have you listened to this, or have you read this book, or just network, but just back yourself, 100% back yourself, because if you are willing to put in the work, you'll get the reward. Yeah. And
you're a clear example of that, and I think you're very humble about that, I must say. You should be super proud of what you've achieved.
Yeah, I am. I do struggle with the old pat on the back.
And let's go back onto struggle. So on social media, we all see, I've just completed on this deal, I'm making this money, I've been on this holiday, I'm doing this and doing that. But I'm sure there's been times in your journey where it has been a little bit difficult. Can you take us back to a moment where you probably sat there and thinking, what the fuck am I doing here?
Yeah.
Tell me through it. Talk to me through it.
As we'd spoke off camera about it, was when my dad had passed away. Well, when he was re-diagnosed, I guess, with cancer. My IVF journey, that was a struggle. I managed to fall pregnant. Then Dad was re-diagnosed. I felt like the whole fairy tale that I had planned out for me. I was in the NHS. I had a good job. It was just whipped from underneath me and just completely threw me in the air and just made me totally reevaluate life as to what life meant. Why are we here? Who are we working for? Who's benefiting from all this? And then I had this little boy who was the centre of my world. I had a dad that was about to leave the world. Jude had just come into it. And I wanted to be there. I wanted to see them moments. And I thought, how am I going to achieve this? And that was when I had to get into the nitty-gritty of it, and I had to really push myself and be really focused, really driven. Dad passed away, and I thought, I'm going to die one day too. And if I'm on my deathbed and I think, have I achieved everything I've done? And am I going to regret? I asked my dad, that was one thing I asked just before he died, do you regret anything, Dad?
What did he say?
He went, yeah, smoking.
Yeah.
Out of all the things he could have said, but if you knew my dad, you'd just go, all right then, yeah, that's right.
Oh,
yeah.
God.
But,
I want you to give me something nice and philosophical.
No, that was
Smoking.
it. Smoking. I should never have smoked. But, you know, he sees that as that was what probably triggered his cancer. But it was, to me, it was ending not being fulfilled. It was not living. It was not having holidays. It was not spending time with loved ones. It was being stuck in an environment that you didn't want to be stuck in anymore, but you felt you had to.
Yeah.
And for me, leaving the NHS, finding my own route, finding my own way, was my way of going, okay. I had a massive guilt, actually, about leaving the NHS because of the caring person I am.
Yeah.
I felt guilty to leaving colleagues still stuck in that world that I saw as absolute turmoil.
Yeah.
And I still even do. I still feel sad that they're stuck in that turmoil. They might not feel sad, but that's my...
You feel sad for them?
I feel sad for them because I know what's on the other side.
Of what could happen if they...
wanted...
And do you ever think you'd go into, like, help NHS people transition outside of that and get into property?
Absolutely. Like, I've had people in the NHS tell me they want to leave or they want to drop their hours or, you know, they're really fed up and they're sick of it. I mean, unless you've worked in the NHS, you have no idea the mental health issues that you develop through being in there. What you see, how you treat. You know, you've got these people that are in these ivory towers have no idea how the ground floor staff work. And they just spend money like in places that doesn't need to be spent. And you've got people struggling to care for people on wards, in hospital, that do not get the care that they deserve because of lack of resources and funding, and people being off sick because of mental health issues. Because I have this other analogy of you put your own oxygen mask on first before you help somebody else.
That is true.
Now, if you can't do that, how the fuck are you expected to help somebody else and give your all to somebody else?
Of course.
You can't.
And why do you think... Obviously, we hear about the NHS, right? And it's got these problems and it's got this... But why do you think that it's not getting to the levels that it could be? Do you think this is government funding? Do you think it's... Like, what do you think? Because I see it on the news all the time. The NHS is crumbling. It's doing this. It's doing that. Obviously, you've been inside it. Like, what do you see?
I see... is it too many chiefs, not enough Indians? Something like that. There's too many people...
Talking, not doing, or...
Yeah, there's too many people at the top that get paid far too much.
Yeah. And there's everyone else at the bottom.
And there's everybody else at the bottom running around like absolute idiots, and that never trickles down. If you listen to the people on the ground of where money needs spending and how that can be implemented, and you just listened rather than what you think and ticky boxes.
Yeah.
There are all these ticky boxes that they have to meet and fill, and, you know, it's all this red tape, which is government shit. It's them that are causing this problem. Then actually, if you just listen to the people on this level, you might actually get somewhere and actually support your staff and have more staff and put more money in to give staff. You're going to get the better outcomes for the patients, and you're going to get more retained staff.
And goes to my next question. You mentioned the government, right? Give me the no bullshit. What's your honest thoughts on the state of the UK right now?
Oh my God, we're fucked. I think the current government that we've got in, I just think, how can we get them out? How can we get them out? Like, I've never been a Labour supporter.
No.
Ever. My mum and dad have, but I haven't.
You sit more on the right?
I sit more on the right.
Yeah.
But I just think we're struggling. We're spending money where we need not to spend money. I don't have an answer for it, though, Joe. I don't know how it gets put right. I don't know how we come back from where we are. I see it's just this, you know, we have all these things in place, all these rules of what we should be doing, what we shouldn't be doing, and paying money for these people and paying money for them people.
Yeah.
I have a very strong opinion on all these people that don't work and, like, that can work, that don't work, but actually they get paid more to not work. And it's like...
it's pretty...
This is the problem.
Like, how could be someone be incentivized to go to work?
They can't, can they?
If they don't work and they get paid more?
They can't.
Like,
they can't, unless you are someone like me that could never ever. I've never claimed a benefit in my life, and like, I've been driven to work. I've come from working background, and I've always wanted more. I never wanted to have less. I always wanted to have more. So when things were shit and hard and tough in my younger days, when we had nothing, or nout, as we say it, where I come from, we have nout, that drove me to want more. But some people just aren't. You know, when it's that whole sociological or whatever, like, oh, well, if you're born into poverty, you stay in poverty. And it's like, bullshit. Yeah. Like, it's a choice thing.
It's your own glass ceiling, isn't it?
It is your own glass ceiling. Yeah. And it's like, we need to be teaching these kids, you know, we need to be bringing business into school. We need to
money
management, you know, like you've got.
But the system wants to keep you poor, doesn't it?
The system want to keep you poor. They want you to want them and need them.
Of course.
They want you to have their houses and only rent from them. Look at BlackRock. Look at look at all it.
Like, we could get into a deep rabbit hole. We don't have time for that today, but we definitely will at some point. Now I've got 2 final questions. So the first one out of this is, obviously we've been working together now. This is going to go on our YouTube channel. Could you summarise your experience about getting out there on social media, where you started, where you are now, and how you found the process of working with us?
Yeah. So I met you when I was on my mastermind. You came and did a talk.
I did.
And you obviously did well. You obviously sold well because I joined. But you hit the nail on the head. It was very much like, you know, you're there to support people that maybe aren't confident in front of a camera or don't know what content to put out there. You can give ideas. You know, I'll often say to Tara, give us a few ideas. I'm a bit one of these people off the cuff. I will be just, and she has to respond to me because I give her it last minute and go, get out, do that. You know, whereas I'm not very organised because that's the manic side of me. But you are flexible in how you work with your clients. I wasn't regularly posting. I would try, but I would forget. I would put it off. Now I know, because I have signed up to do 3 times a week.
Yeah.
I know that it's now in my schedule that I have to have something for Tara to be able to work with.
It's a system that you built, right?
It's a system that's been built, but through your system.
Yeah.
To keep me on track. And it's only through doing that, and I can actually look at how that's gone in terms of the performance from what I used to do only a year ago to where I am now.
Yeah.
And it's exponential really as to where it is. But you keep me on track.
Keep me in line, don't we?
You keep me in line.
So if there's someone watching this who's interested in getting their social media outsourced and want to take that time and pressure away from them, would you recommend us to people?
I would. And what I would say is as well is people often see a price tag and think, oh, I won't pay that. Or, you know, but it's actually what is in the value of that, isn't it? It's to do with what you've got to give out to what you're going to gain back.
100%.
And you need to kind of get over that. It's just a case of if that's what you want to do and you want to be getting yourself seen, you need to see it as, you know, if you want to park your car in a car park space, you've got to pay for the parking space, right? You've got to have to pay for it. You might not want to, but you still need to park your car. So it's about just do it because the support that we get is great and you keep us on track.
Oh, you're a star. You're too lovely, Vicky. And then finally, my love, how do you want to be remembered?
I just want to be remembered for that person that what did I say earlier? She came, she saw, she conquered. She came, she saw, she conquered. But only in terms of my own life and my own life dreams, not for anyone to be like, oh, look at her, look what she did, type of thing. I want to be remembered that she lived life on her own terms and what she said, she did. She didn't talk any shit. She just balls deep. When I go into it, I have to go into it and I just don't stop until that has been met. And I just think she needs to be remembered that she is a family person and that is what is the driver, which is my little Jude. And I just want to conquer my own life and my own dreams and I want to inspire other people. And again, maybe there is something to be done for people in the NHS that needs to.
It's a matter of time and I'm going to push you to do that because there's an audience there of people that I genuinely believe that we've built who would buy your products and services.
Yeah.
But we'll cross that bridge.
We'll cross that bridge. We'll cross that bridge.
Vicky, thank you so much for your time. It's been amazing. You've been amazing. You should be so proud of what you've done. And thank you very much for jumping on our YouTube channel today.
Thank you for having me.